23 years. Almighty Allah allowed us to enjoy from His life. Three unique principles He left for the Ummah. Whenever any halat, any condition comes in the world, and whenever He came in the world, one of those conditions will be studied. We would see how brilliant it is and how it stands and it answers to every question, every worry. At the present moment in the world, what we are going through, what is called the fear of a virus which they feel might cause death. If a person looks at it, he will find that no matter how much precaution they are taking, that one word which is called panic, they are unable to remove that. Actually, they created even more panic. That people who yesterday were not worried about death at all, now a sickness which normally doesn't kill everyone, it just gives a flu, but it's created such a sense of panic in the world. When we look at the Sunnah, we will also find precaution. And there is something called precaution also from diseases which we call contagious. But you will find in the Sunnah that word panic doesn't. What was the difference between why we don't have panic, why the Sunnah never taught panic? In Islam, one thing was taught about remember death a lot. And in their system also they're teaching the same thing now, remember death a lot. Because every day people are thinking, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. But when they are thinking of death, they're becoming more depressed. When Islam taught the world to think of death, it was to remove depression. Now how come? They're also making the world think you will die. But in the thought of death, no one's life is changing for the better. People are going worse. Islam also taught, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, remember death a lot. But it was to remove depression. Their remembrance of death, they are making the world, the amount the world is thinking of death today, they never in their life thought about that. But it's not giving any good results. It's making them worse. They don't want to come out of their houses, they don't want to smile. Whereas the thought of death wasn't supposed to be like that. In Islam it was slightly different, the thought of death. Molana Abul Hasan al-Nadwi rahimahullah, when he gave one bayan once after the fall of Masjid al-Aqsa, and he spoke about what was the beginning of this ummah. He said Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he painted the picture of paradise for his companions, Sahaba radiallahu anhu. He painted it so beautiful, as though they were seeing paradise while they were alive. It was right there in front of them. Now they needed to grab it. After showing them paradise, and he explained to them, however, to get to paradise there's one bridge. It is not an easy bridge to cross. But it was taught to them that if you cross this bridge, it's a bridge where you will have to separate from a few. But in separating from a few, you will be meeting with many. You will have to leave a world which got a lot of problems, but it got a lot of happiness. But you will now enter a world which got only happiness and no problems. You are going to leave a world which got the rose with the thorn. You can now enter a world with the rose and no thorn. It was painted so beautiful, not only Jannah, but the world of the grave. That difficult bridge which we call death became enjoyable. And if the person had to feel that death is in front of me, then he would see the others around him getting sad, that they are going to separate from him. But he would say sometimes to them, that do not cry so much, because tomorrow I'm going to meet my friends. For him it was a happy day coming. That for the last 5 years I can't walk nicely. For the last 5 years I can't eat nicely. For the last 5 years I can't look after myself, I need somebody else. Tomorrow is going to come the time when now I don't need anyone else. My life which had ended a few years ago is now going to start again. But there's one bridge which was called death. Islam, when it explained death, it explained it not as a bad thing. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed it as a very good thing. So that's the first. The people of Iman, we have a fear of death, that it is going to separate us from our beloveds. But we know we can't run away from death. So rather, we look at death, and if it's coming in front, then we accept it with open hands. It's a bridge. Sometimes that bridge, man happily goes over it. Sometimes by force he goes over. But when you know you have to cross a bridge, there's no benefit of trying to look the other way and saying there's no bridge. There is a bridge. When death is taught in this manner, a beautiful painting my Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam drew from me. He called it paradise. It wasn't a lie, it was real. I'm looking at it as though it's right there. And he has said to me one thing, there's a bridge. Are you ready to cross it? We must all be ready to cross it. As for this virus that is what they call contagious, the principle that Islam gave, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the beginning used to say one word, La Adwa. There's no such thing as something being contagious. That word is very hard, that no such thing. La Adwa. So a Sahabi radiallahu anh asked a question, he said, I found many good animals. And then that one camel came which had a sickness and all of them got it. So where they got it from? So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam then said to him that the first one, where he got it from? The answer was he got it from Allah. So where all the others got it from? They also got it from Allah. Did he deny something being contagious? There were certain scholars when they looked at it, they felt yes, he denied. The vast majority of scholars explained no. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, when one man came and he had a contagious sickness, he came to take bay'at. He said to the man, tell him don't come. He must go back. I have accepted his bay'at. There's no need for him to come here. But how he taught it? First he thought that who gave the sickness first? Allah. If Allah could give one in between everyone who's getting it, who's giving it? Allah. Why was that thought? See, me and you, if I get sick, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam taught the sentence. It is not adab to say, oh Allah, you made me sick. It is not adab. But me and you both know it. When I get sick, where it comes from? It comes from Allah. And in the love of my Allah, I won't say, Allah, you made me sick. So Ibrahim alayhi salam take turns of wording. He said, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ. When I become sick, He gives me my cure. But sickness comes from Allah and health comes from Allah. If you take out Allah from this issue, imagine the word contagiousness, what it will do to the world. One is, imagine one boy comes in the masjid and he's coughing. And tomorrow 5 other boys cough. Everyone will go and say, that boy was the cause. That boy will look so bad. He'll say, what did I do? People will be upset. If death has to come to anyone, imagine pointing at a certain young child and say, you the one that killed. Will that be fair? But the people who understood this, who gave the first camel the sickness? It is that Allah who allows sickness to spread. There are many means that Almighty Allah does it. If even 10 people get sick, each of them will not say, so and so gave me the sickness. Each of them will say that if Allah wanted me to get sick, it is my Allah, and my love for my Allah will allow me to say, Allah, you made me sick. You will change the sentence and says, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ. When I get sick, now what I do? The same Allah who brings sickness into my life is the Allah who I look to relieve me of my sickness. I lift up my hands in dua. So principle number 2. We believe something is contagious, but we don't take the word Allah out of that what we call equation. You take Allah out, you will look at everyone like he's the culprit, he's the suspect, he's the murderer, he's the killer. You will see nowadays when you walk into, I just entered the airport. This was a few weeks ago. If it was today, I would have been arrested. Zambia, I entered when we went for a program. That time this virus just started. Alhamdulillah, it was the beginning stage. I had a cough. I just entered the airport and I coughed. And the whole airport looked at me. Whole airport. One cough. That amount of thing. If you know my Allah does it, you will enter an environment, you might hear 20 people coughing also. You will see the person will enter calm and you will leave calm. You bring Allah into it, depression goes away, panic goes away. If sickness has to come, it could come to the first camel also. And if sickness doesn't have to come, many never got it also. But my Allah must never be forgotten. Number 3, What precaution do I take? The world will teach us what is called an outside, we call it the apparent precaution, which is very good. And how much Islam allows it. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam made indication that we must also entertain so much. Outside precaution is very good, how much Islam allows. But don't overdo it. But never forget that inside precaution. Inside precaution, and there's a difference between outside and inside. Inside precaution, which is the main precaution, we call it batini, not zahiri. Batini means the real. The real is if sickness comes from Allah, the first thing is to ask Allah not to give me the sickness. If sickness comes from Allah, first thing before putting on a mask is every day after my salah, read Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. Blow in my hands, rub it over my body. Do it a second time, do it a third time. I'll read one dua now, all of you will repeat it. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when man sees someone who got a problem and he reads this dua, inshallah Allah will not afflict him with that problem. What a dua that is. So we will read that dua. Alhamdulillahi alladhi afana mimma ibtalahu bihi wa faddalana ala kathirin mimman khalaqa tafdeela. That's the Arabic. Alhamdulillah, we all read it. We have hope in Allah, it will not hit us. The English of it is something we can all remember, and that's something we can always repeat. Every day when you see this number, they will say another 10 cases. At that time I want you to read this dua. You all know the Arabic. In dua the English is good enough. The meaning is good enough. The meaning is, I thank Allah who saved me from what He afflicted that person. I thank Allah who saved me from what He afflicted that person with. How easy that thing is. The end of the dua goes, and He gave me preference and honor over so much of the creation. Faddalani. But even the first part, I thank Allah who saved me from what He afflicted that. Look at this. If there was a vaccine in the world that was something for everyone to be taken, it was every day when the news says another case reported, I look at it and I say, I thank Allah who saved my family from what this person has been afflicted with. It isn't death that came to him, but it's difficult in the family. Now they have to be quarantined, he has to be put in a room, everyone's looking bad at him. I thank Allah, He saved me. What's the difference between outside precaution and inside precaution? Outside precaution, if we take it, and we're supposed to take it, I put on my mask, I put on my gloves, I did lot. If it still comes to me, I do get sick, you will find people go more in depression. And they will say, I did so much and still. Inside precaution where it's with dua, even if my Allah, after making the dua, wants me to get sick, my Allah will send the sickness together with the gift of sabr also. I will get it and I'll smile. I will say, I'm talking to my Allah in this. I'm asking my Allah. It doesn't come with depression. So I mentioned 3 points. Allah Ta'ala make it beneficial for us. One is death is something that we have to understand. It's a bridge to get a very beautiful picture. We don't run away from death. We don't run into death. But when death comes, we don't scream. We understand it's the bridge, and that bridge we all have to cross. Number 2, contagiousness there is, but it is not with the word, without the word Allah. And when I bring Allah into the issue, then if ever someone gets sick, his love for Allah will not say, you made me sick. He will say, when I get sick, then my Allah is the one who cures. And the third is, as I do my outside precaution, my inside precaution is even more important. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. After every salah, read, blow, rub. Read again, blow, rub. Read again, blow, rub. Or read 3 times each, and then blow and then rub. And whenever you hear of a new case reported, then I thank my Allah. What this year, inshallah, Allah Ta'ala grant us. The last point, it comes in the ahadith about the plague. Nabi Sallallahu spoke about the plague when it spreads. Plague is like much worse than this, but he gave a principle. Nabi Sallallahu said, when the plague spreads, and And how he explained it, the ulama now pulled out from this narration a very nice point they explained. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when the plague spreads, whoever will remain in that area. Now for me and you, remain in the area means we can't go anywhere. It's the whole world got it. So you're not going to run. So whoever remains in the area with two qualities. One is what sabr. Sabr means he's not panicky, he's relaxed. Sabr. Number two, understanding that nothing can afflict him except with the permission of Allah. Two things. You tell a person, make sabr. The person says, what else must I do? You say, sabr doesn't mean that. Sabr means relax. Don't panic. So you have to be a no panic. Knowing nothing can afflict except what Allah wants. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, except that for that man will be the reward of a martyr. Now ulama explained this. They said from this narration we found that there are three groups of people. One is when the plague spreads and there is a man who remains in that area, because you can't run away from it now. Sabr is not panicking. Understanding nothing will afflict him except what Allah wants. He will be a martyr. He said the second one is the one who panics. And he doesn't understand this. Even if he dies, he will die, but he will not be a martyr. He said there's a third one, and the third one is for me and you. May Allah give it to all of us. There are many who at that time will remain. We have to remain. With two qualities, no panic, sabr. Knowing nothing can afflict except what Allah wants. And they won't die. They live through it. Ulama said the hadith never said to be a martyr in this issue you have to die. He will also get the reward of being a martyr. He will also get the reward. He never died in it. He lived through it. With two qualities. We living through not a plague but something like a plague. There's panic in the world, we have no panic. Everyone is saying something, we saying nothing can afflict me except what my Allah wants. Two qualities, and martyrdom has been given as certificates to even the living after that. Allah Ta'ala make us all amongst the living martyrs.